For my English composition class, we were assigned to write an essay about philosophies we encountered in a story we had read in class. It was about a woman who was put in alternate realities after trying to commit suicide. This story was titled The Midnight Library and followed a woman named Nora Seed, who was unsatisfied with her life. After a lot of altercations during the story, the premise came to question, what is it to live a good life? Though there are many interpretations, the ideas that were given in the book were ones that were worth looking deeply and understanding. One of which was from Albert Camus, who was an absurdist, and the other from Henry David Thoreau. These two philosophers have ideas that align with my own mottos on living a good life and making it the best of our time in this planet. Now, I'd appreciate a moment of your time, and I'd like to share my writing with you. The purpose of life has come to be a topic none have been capable of deciphering indefinitely. Perspectives value and present life differently, and it can be difficult to align with one view. I find life to be well lived if you go on about your days without glorifying purpose, but instead living to experience and doing it confidently. In the book The Midnight Library, many philosophical ideologies are presented to give an insight into what it is to live a great life. Existentialist philosopher Albert Camus and transcendentalist Henry David Thoreau both give valuable perceptions on the idea. I find that the perspectives that both philosophers present align and support my personal view of what it is to live a great life. Camus's philosophy mentioned in the book relates to how one is meant to live life to the fullest by simply experiencing living rather than taking everything literally and making too much meaning of our purpose. But you will never live if you are looking for the meaning of life. I apply this in living the joys and pains in life rather than breaking myself by looking too hard for why I feel the way I do. I could understand what is making my heart move, but not sense it when I try to understand why. I remind myself to stop at times and appreciate what I have rather than pursuing what I can get. Being thankful for the environment around me can change I could understand what it is making my heart move, but not sense it when I try to understand why. I remind myself at times to appreciate what I have rather than pursue what I can get. Being thankful for the environment around me can change the present, help dilute living in the past, and make me feel less anxious about the future. Keeping my focus on what could be can be distracting from what is. This makes the happiness in the moment less enjoyable. In the article titled Albert Camus, author Arson Ronald explains that Albert Camus believed that one should acknowledge the absurdities of life and live alongside them. Happiness and the absurd are two sons of the same earth. They are inseparable. Quoted. It isn't about understanding the absurd that automatically brings happiness, but it is instead required that we accept our human weakness, recognize our limits, and face the reality that we have often yearned for, what lies beyond our reach that will truly leave us to live a life without chaos. This change of mindset has alleviated my anxiety when I have an existential crisis and try to make sense of it all. Later in the book, when Nora, the main protagonist, is having an epiphany about the difference between solitude and loneliness, she realizes that the actions that she has done led her to the moment she was in, reminding her of a quote from Henry David Thoreau. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. Quoted. In other words, if I work diligently towards my goals and aspirations, I will eventually lead to my desired end destination. Trusting the process can sometimes be burdensome. It is only when going through with intention and decisiveness that the outcome of my work is inevitable and comes out through what I put in. Living with this ideology is one I've been keen on through my struggles at work. Aspirations are in everyone's heart. but the work and confidence to go through with making it a reality require courage and strength. I find this philosophy to give me stability when fulfilling the lack of purpose within me through the days I am unsure if the work I put in is worth anything. This falls under the idea of transcendentalism. Adding to this, the quote mentioned is from one of Thoreau's work published titled Walden. In the book, Thoreau explains his time in semi-isolation from 1847 through 1849 and the epiphanies he encountered during this time. This work came to be influential to philosophers in New England who studied the idea of transcendentalism, in which they bonded over the idea of inherence. This is explained in a summary article from Britannica titled Walden. In this article, the author goes on to explain, as the author puts it, an idealistic system of thought based on a belief that is essential unity of all creation, and the innate goodness of humanity, and the supremacy of insight over logic and experience for the revelation of the deepest truths. Quoted. In the Midnight Library, Nora realizes that this is how she came to see that she's never felt a level of solitude like what she had up until then after feeling the emotion alone. Unlike figuring out why she felt lonely to no avail from doing it analytically, I believe that it is credible for me to accept that I should refrain from analyzing too deeply through my actions and do them before I overthink and leave it to fantasy. Making a move and being absolutely sure it is true to my heart creates a better alternative than hesitating and taking no action because of over-worry. In the Midnight Library, many lessons and philosophies can be learned. In reading this book, a lot of philosophical moments resonated with my own views on living life to make the most out of it. Learning to enjoy the moment, as said by Camus, and the idea that your confidently made actions amount to an end result are thoughts in the back of my head I keep with me. Practicing and applying them in everyday life can make it easier for the time here in this world and help with living better. I appreciate you taking the time to hear me out on my ideas about takes and living a good life. I hope that after listening to my essay, some ideas came to mind and epiphanies were made about life itself. I would recommend to take some time today and sit down and think to yourself about your own morals and ideologies, and maybe reconsider them. Perhaps they have flaws or were reassured. In the end, philosophy is all about understanding the world around us and making our reality less despondent and more contented. Thank you.